Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to the second episode of Incredible Adventures in Marketing. My name is Liam Carter, and as always, 2 weeks in a row now, I'm joined in the studio with Phil Bretherton. Welcome, Phil.
Howdy doody.
Last week we spoke a little bit about Facebook and how that can be used in a marketing context, and this week we want to talk a little bit about email marketing, I believe.
Yep, amongst other things, but mostly email marketing. I want to get people onto email marketing. I want to get them learning about how easy it is if you do it the right way, and anybody can do email marketing. If you just know how to do it, it's a piece of cake. But before we go into email marketing, I wanted to actually disclose, because last week was like uber professional. And this week, I wanted to disclose that me and you, we've actually known each other for a long time.
We have.
Yeah. I mean...
The cat is out of the bag, ladies and gentlemen.
I think people were blown away just at how professional the actual podcast was. I mean, I was. I didn't even expect there to be a little ditty at the start and end or anything.
Well, there you go. That's the magic of podcasts. The smoke and mirrors. We'll have to say big thanks to Andy, the producer, for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the Ozcast network that's really helped to immediately just up the game with this podcast, and I think it's really going to help us progress. And in fact, what we're doing now is marketing. The podcast itself is our marketing adventure, and I think Ozcasters too. That's going to be a marketing adventure as well. I mean, how long has the Ozcast been going again?
Oh well, it's been developing for about a year, I guess. Yeah.
Right. And what's the Ozcast? What's the purpose?
The purpose, well, the Ozcast network is a podcast distribution network. So it's a way of different content creators getting their work out onto the big platforms like iTunes and Stitcher and the rest of them, Audio Boom. So that's what we help our clients and our other content creators to do to get the podcast out there.
So, I mean, with me, you guys are legit just holding my hand and making sure that the podcast we do together is perfect. But for other people, you kind of want their content and you're going to distribute it. That's right?
That's right. We help other people get their content out as well. Whether it's a marketing podcast, it's a relaxation one, a comedy one, or any other type of podcast.
There's a few now, isn't there?
There is a few. Currently, we're welcoming on our 8th very soon. And we're growing quickly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Check out the Ozcast Network, a bit of a plug there on Facebook.
Yeah.
Plenty of free content there for everybody.
This podcast itself has got to be about what we do, what we're currently doing right now, rather than what we've learned years ago and may not be relevant anymore. So even though the majority of this podcast will be about email marketing, this week I've actually been spending a long time with Facebook Insights. And if you ever look at the ad manager for Facebook, you can see it's a monster. It's a beast. It's so easy to do really simple things, but you can look at the audience insights and you can just create your own audiences, right? So you don't even have to have an audience. You can just invent one, and you can then look at what Facebook expects that audience would do. So that's great. And I've been looking at that and playing with that, and it does take days to play with that. But it's quite interesting because the average person will only this is all across Facebook, will only like 2 pages in their entire lifetime, just 2. So,
really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess
that's, sorry to cut in, but I guess that means there's a lot of passive users, really. Is that what that means?
Yeah, it is. And I think who was it recently that's just had like 6 million people? I think it was a network like a competitor for Fox in America, and they had just found out they had like 600 million or something along those lines fake accounts that
fake
liked
likes.
Yeah,
okay,
liked them, and they just all got wiped. And,
really,
and it's quite controversial actually because they're all saying how that was done to influence the American vote. But yeah, so how many fake robots or fake accounts are around Facebook? Who knows? But certainly there must be a lot for the average number of likes per page for a person over their whole life is just 2. So, but you can play with that and you can select different audiences. And I managed to get that average up to 22. So that's
Right.
that's quite an impressive feat. I mean, the narrower you go, the more chances are that people will like things because you're tailoring for a particular audience.
Sure.
But I found that targeting people who like networking was how I got it up to 22. And it makes sense. It just makes sense. Those people, they're out and about. They want to meet people. They're generally in that frame of mind. But there's some funny things as well, because you can actually target people who are engaged. And again, they're just euphoric. So they're happy. So again, the page likes just naturally goes up.
Ah, very clever. I thought you were saying engaged as engaged with the content, but you mean actually engaged to be married.
That's right, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So they're just in a happier frame of mind. So if you want to target those people just because they're happy, give it a shot.
Sure.
Anyway, let's talk about email marketing itself. And I think last week you mentioned that I'd had a few successes in email marketing, and I have. And I want to tell you first about the story of my first success, because it really blew me away. I mean, I couldn't sleep at all during the build up to this launch because it was my first. I had absolutely no idea how it was going to respond whatsoever, how it wasn't. And straight up, I made about $10,000, $12,000 in about a day. And I didn't just make it just in one go as well. That was at about $60 a time. So
Right,
you can
okay.
imagine, just seeing your PayPal just keep notifying you every single 3 to 5 minutes, just kept notifying me.
They're the kind of notifications I want. Not so and so has commented on your on your whatever. No, never mind. Carry on.
But yeah, I mean, it was great. And so we set up this launch, and it was an email launch, and I set it off to go at 7 a.m. in the morning because I knew that the kind of people that were going to be looking at this launch would be the people that check their email in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I'd got out of bed to do it, there was loads. It was like 50, 60 people who had already signed up to this thing. And every time somebody signed up to this membership deal, which we was offering, my phone would buzz because I was getting an email. So I'd get a little bing. And throughout the whole day, my phone was just constantly just vibrating every 5 minutes. It was just a little bing, and it was just amazing just to feel this kind of, just be drip fed this money all the time. And it was fabulous because I was feeling so overjoyed and confident about just receiving this money just on this consistent basis that I just went into town, and I went into like the most expensive suit shop and I was browsing the suits. And as I was browsing the suits, I was making enough money to buy that suit. And
So you didn't have, you walked in with not enough money, and then all of a sudden, give me 10 minutes and now I've got enough money for it.
no, so I'd walk in and I'd made like 5 or 6 grand already. And then as I was browsing like nice sports jackets and things, by the time I'd finished browsing, selecting them and trying it on, I'd made like 6 or 7 grand.
Wow.
So it was just really fun to be able to, I mean, it was a bit obscene to be making money whilst just browsing, looking for suits and expense. But that's
fun.
Yeah, but heaps fun. And that's why I shifted into marketing. It was really the thing that got me into marketing the most, really, when I just discovered how much fun marketing can be and how you can actually make some real money if you know how to market.
For sure. Now, can I just cut in, because email marketing is nothing really new or anything, but I've done a bit of it myself, working for people, etc. And I found that it used to work, and then it really tapered off for a while there, didn't it? People stopped, it stopped working because people started to get spam.
It's everything's like all ads inevitably end in just pure noise. And so if you are considering email marketing, you really need to do it now, because it's like Bitcoins, really. They just keep shooting up in value, and it will eventually be too late. But right now it's not too late. But yeah, it's getting a lot harder to do email marketing. It was the highest, and it probably still is the highest engaging form of marketing. So, if you see an ad on Facebook, you just scroll past it, whatever. But email marketing, you might actually stop to take note of it if it's delivered in the right way.
Sure.
And email marketing, it still is the highest engaging form of marketing. But yeah, there's a lot of people doing it now. I mean, my Google Gmail is just all marketing emails. Every time I sign up to something, get a book or something like an ebook, I'll just put it in my Gmail, knowing that it's just going to be filled with thousands of emails from people. And we've all cottoned on to that now. We've all kind of worked that out. And so we're reluctant to subscribe to anything. We're reluctant to, to open emails from people we don't know. And also there's a lot of people sending nasty viruses through email as well.
It certainly is. What's the name of that one at the moment?
WannaCry, that's what it's called.
Yeah, hostageware they're calling it now. Is that right?
It's ransomware.
Ransomware,
That's it,
sorry.
yeah, ransomware. And
Wow.
that's just, that was just people sending emails which said something along the lines of, here's your invoice for so-and-so. And people would go, invoice for so-and-so, and they'd click on it. And it's like, they would open it, and that was it. They would install the virus.
And then these are the challenges we're facing. In fact, I got just one of those type of things via SMS tonight.
Yeah.
There's people trying to scam people all the time. So that's a challenge in email marketing.
It's challenging even for me, because occasionally I'll get something that looks like it is definitely from PayPal. And it's you have to almost you get this kind of, you feel a bit off about it, and you can hover over the links and see if it actually directs to PayPal or some other website. But they're getting a lot smarter about making them look thoroughly legit. So yeah, you have to be on your toes. And I think email marketing as well is a little bit like that. You really have to be able to deliver content in a way which captures people's attention straight away. It's often people will write emails which are just thousands of paragraphs, and it's just not interesting. Or they'll put lots of images in there, and of course nowadays all of our email clients don't show images straight off the bat. So there's just these lots of boxes everywhere. And I don't know about you, but I never click show images.
No, that's right. And it just looks bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just looks like a mess. So funny enough, with all of my email marketing, all of my templates are just plain text templates. That's it. There might be I might style a button so that stands out. But the rest of it is just plain text, and I'll mix it between a sans serif font or a serif font depending on the actual audience, or I'll just mix it up a little bit as well, just so that people don't get too accustomed to one kind of font, because obviously when you receive emails from other people, they all send it through, they all got their own font sizes, different font formats, etc. So if you're sending something that's consistently the same, well, people just eventually cotton on. They can just tell just by the template itself, where is it from, and if they're not interested in that, they'll never read it. So
we need to steer clear of Comic Sans. Is that a fair call?
I don't know, actually. Sometimes I've used Courier New, which is like this rubbish text, like computer font, and it's worked, because again, it's just caught people off guard. It's always about keeping people off guard. Like some of my most successful email open campaigns, are not the ones where you describe the contents of the email, which is what a lot of other marketers advise that you do. But rather, some of my most successful open rate campaigns have just been thank you. That's it. And they're usually towards the end. So like if I'm doing a launch, and it's always at the end of the launch where people jump on and pay the most and sign up to the most things. So what I'll generally do is I'll just write a couple of hours before the launch ends, I'll write an email, and it just subject will just be thank you, and people be like, they don't expect to see an email like that from marketers which just says thank you. So they'll open it, and it'll just say, hey, thanks to everybody that's bought my this and that. Just letting you know that it's only 3 hours to go, and here's a link again. And it's usually that one which is the most successful.
The Trojan horse.
Yeah, because they just don't expect to see something like that. They're used to seeing things like 10 ways you can do this or that, or 5 things that'll do this. Never just a one word. And so you have to be a little bit clever like that and crafty, with some of you can't do it all the time because they'll cotton on. But again, if you throw out the occasional one of those in, the occasional curveball, maybe even in Comic Sans, you're just going to catch attention. And that's what marketing's all about. It's all about just being a little bit innovative and a bit new and a bit, sometimes even a bit cheeky, because that is a bit cheeky.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, after I'd done that launch, which was just raking in money, I thought I've got to get better at this. And I bought this book, and this book was by Jeff Walker, and it's actually just called Launch, and it's a really, really easy book to read. I read it in like 2 or 3 days. It's just really easy to skim through. And when I read it, it was really good, because it was just confirming a lot of what I already know about email marketing, the steps. So it really is easy. And he kind of sells the book in it as well a little bit. He talks about how knowing this stuff is a bit dangerous, you know, because you're manipulating people and there's psychology involved. And of course, you know, whatever.
Well, you know, in reality, all marketing has some element of that, doesn't it?
It does. There is marketing is hugely about psychology, yeah, and understanding people, and understanding how they think, and understanding how just the people think currently as well. But the book is a great read. I totally advise checking it out. So what I'll do now is I'll describe the steps of email marketing. And again, anybody can do this. It's not something that requires any level of skill other than just knowing how to craft some emails which will appeal to your own audience. You've got to know your own audience. But if that's all you need to know to make some money. And so, first of all, you can't just go into any kind of email marketing campaign just immediately selling. I mean, it's like everything. You can't just pick up the phone and just say, hey, you know, I want to sell you something right here off the bat. It's just too cold. You're just going to get a zero response. I mean, I've actually tried to do that just for experimental purposes. And even with lists of 4,000 or 5,000 people, you'll just get one or two at the absolute most who follow through, and that's different from the hundreds that you get if you do it the right way. So there is a big difference between doing it the wrong way and the right way. And the right way generally starts about 14 days before you want to actually sell anything. So first of all, if you do have an email marketing list, if you've spent years getting people to sign up to your list, the first thing you want to do is you want to start, and this part actually you probably want to do months before you do your launch, but you want to just start letting people know that you have something coming up. And one of the ways you want to do that is because people, especially if you have a cold list, will immediately start to unsubscribe from your list. And you want that to happen because you don't want to then sell to those people. You want the people that maybe signed up to your subscription years ago to drop out because they're of no use to you. And you don't want that kind of data as well. You don't want to know your open rate when you're selling. You want to know your open rate prior to that. So you want to get rid of all the people that aren't interested in your services.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point.
So once you've done all that, the first 14 days are just all about warming people up to the idea. So your first email really shouldn't be long. It should be very, very short. We're talking a sentence, 2 sentences at the absolute most. And it needs to be just something along the lines of hello and then their name, which you should have. And then something like, just let you know that I've got this upcoming product or service and we're really, really excited about it. And I can't wait to tell you more about it. And just keep an eye on your inbox and I'll tell you some more in a few days. And it's just something simple like that. And it really just to get people just kind of on board. Mm-hmm. You can't, anything more than that, too much. And it's really quite hard to write these very short, succinct emails because it's so tempting to just want to tell everybody everything about your product right there and then, you know, even in dot point form. But you can't. You're just trying to get people to recognize that you're about to start something.
Okay.
So your next email, that can be a little bit longer. That can be just describing some of the features of the product or service, you know. And again, 2 or 3 dot points. You don't really want to go more than that. Keep it to no longer than a paragraph. And again, it's just about drip feeding people information. Now, the email after that, you can go really long if you want to. And the chances are half of your readership won't read that. But it's important to be able to have that email across so that you can actually say, you can refer to it later, and also just to have all of those details on there. And again, what it does is it throws an email which is completely different to the first two. So the first two are really short and succinct, and now we're throwing in something long. So it doesn't look anything like the first two. And so that catches people off. They can't recognize any kind of rhythm. And because as soon as they start to pick up patterns, they'll drop out. They're not interested.
Okay.
But if you throw something new and innovative in there and long, people pay attention. It's something different. So after that, you want to then start ask people what they think of your product, even though you've not released it yet, or your service. You want
Sounds like a difficult ask.
Well, it's a survey. You generally want to survey people, and what that does is so you might say something like we've been working on this product for years, and we're just about ready to put it to market, but we've just got a few fine tweaks that we want to work on, and would love your input. We'd love to know what, and the people I reply, those are really your champions. Those are the people that you might want to engage later. And if they've got any kind of influence, you might even want to talk to them about influence, recommendations, testimonials, that kind of thing. But really, it's about getting people feeling like they've got a say and they've got some kind of ownership over the content, the product, the service. You want people on your side. And it also shows people that you're prepared to listen as well, because you want all of these things. You want to look great when you're doing this kind of email marketing. So a survey is usually part of the 14-day period. After the survey, that's where you can say something along the lines of, thanks for your feedback. It's been great. The feedback's been great. And then you want to start to give them a date then. So prior to that, you don't want to tell people when it's coming out. You just want to be telling it's coming soon. But after the survey, that's a great time to tell people the date. And the date can usually be, what I try to do is I try to get that moment in the campaign to end on a Friday so that I can say that we're releasing it on the Monday, because I've always found with B2B marketing that Monday is the absolute best day to do a launch. So Monday is the best day, Tuesday is the second best day, Wednesday is the third best day, Thursday and Friday they're equally as bad. And so I don't even like to end a launch on a Friday as well, because just people aren't switched on during that time. So I like to end the launch on a Monday and start it on a Monday, and that's how you get the most. And it really does make a difference. If you try to do a launch on a Friday, it won't work out anywhere near as well as on a Monday. And also you've got to consider that the day that you launch, you probably get 20 to 30% of everybody that purchases your product or service for the whole campaign, 20 to 30%, which is quite high. But you'll probably get more like 50% on the last day. And so, that works out to be 70, 80% of everybody on the first day and the last day. And so everybody in between is just a little trickle, really.
Okay.
But during that time in between, that's when you can be counting down the days. So you can be, every day, almost every day. Again, it's about measuring if you're going too spammy. But a lot of people, they get a bit scared that they're spamming. But again, if you warn people up, that you're doing this campaign, and you can even say that during this whole campaign that it'll be over. So you can apologize. You can say, I'm sorry if this is going to hit your spam bot. It's going to feel like spam for the next 2 weeks, but after that, I'm out of your face.
But, and that's part of the sales process anyway, isn't it? You're always going to get a percentage of people who, close the door in your face, and, sometimes people aren't polite about it, but at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and you've got to, you've got to accept that some people aren't going to want to hear what you've got to say, but that's okay because others will.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to upset people at some point, but they can always unsubscribe easily.
Exactly. Yep.
And in Australia, it's against the law to not have unsubscribe feature as well in actual email. So once the launch is going, that's when you said you can count down the days, you can start reminding people. And then they said the last day is typically the most important day, because that's the day where it's too late after. So tomorrow you won't be able to buy this thing. So you start off with a special offer. Special offers, people love special offers. And the last day is the last day of the special offer. So that's generally when you get people who have been and ahhing about it, thinking about it, and they're keen. And on that last day, I'll generally send 3 emails, not 1, but 3. And the first email will just be like, just letting everybody know this is the last campaign. And then the second email will be that thank you. So it's not the final email; it's the second email. It'll just be that thank you, and it's just another reminder that there's now only a few hours left. Thanks. There's only a few hours left before this campaign ends, but I'd just like to say thank you at this time. And then the very last email can be, thanks everybody that's purchased this. Really appreciate you just having me annoy you for 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, that's the very last one is just that thank you. So that second to last one, is really a great one, just to squeezing out that little bit extra. And depending on what you're selling, it can squeeze out a little thousands extra.
Sure.
So this was the campaign. I've been doing this for a while now, this actual method. And I read this guy, Jeff Walker's book, and it's interesting because he almost talks through the exact same steps. the pre-launch, the pre-launch, then the pre-launch, then the launch itself, then the post-launch. All of those things he talks about. This. He talks about survey even and how that engages people. So it was really interesting because I just kind of accidentally stumbled upon this strategy through reading books and giving it a crack, and learning things like I'd start off, because I'm a graphic designer, so I would start off with really pretty templates, but nobody would open them. But when we went to plain text, loads of people opened them. So it's things like that I just stumbled upon.
People are wary of things that are too polished, maybe.
I think it's a lot of it is just because, again, you can't see the images immediately. You can forget using background images. But yeah, I think if it's just a few lines of text as well, people don't feel like they have to push themselves to read it. It's like they can just glance at it. Yeah, they can just glance at it. And so, yeah, that's really how you do email marketing. And I've got an ebook. I've written an ebook which I'll attach onto the same page where I post this on my blog.
Cool, no worries.
And you won't have to subscribe to my blog or anything, or my website. It's just a PDF. I'll just link it. You can download it. It looks nice, and it has lots of emails. It's basically emails that I've used to influence people to buy things.
Okay.
And so I'll just post it on there, and anybody can get that.
We'll obviously post the upcoming podcast on the Ozcast Facebook page.
Can we put a link on there as well?
Yes, certainly. We certainly can. And in fact, what we might do is we'll put a link on the podcast description as well. So when people go to iTunes and Stitcher, etc., they'll be able to also link from there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no subscribing. We're not going to spam you. It's just going to be a link to the book, and you can see it's just a short book.
Free stuff.
Yeah. I just want people to have a look at it, have a crack themselves, and see what it's like. But as you said, it is getting harder. There is a lot more noise. MailChimp recently, I think it was even last week, announced that you can now do free email automation, which is vital to keeping your email list warm. So what that is somebody subscribes to your email, and then you just set up a campaign which just is automatic. Mm-hmm. So you might first one might be, hey, thanks for downloading my ebook. It's great, and you might even link to some other things. Second, email might be more about, come to my blog, I've written a few articles, and you might even want to throw a little special offer in the fifth email. But yeah, it's all automatic. You used to have to pay for that as well. You used to have to actually have a paid MailChimp account, but now it's free, which is great. So I would certainly advise playing with that. So probably the hardest part of email marketing is building your list. So even though I'm giving away this book, I'm not trying to build a list. Because it is difficult to build a list. And part of the reason nowadays is, I think we were touching on this last week with Facebook likes, in that it's easy to get crappy Facebook likes, but it costs like $5 to $10 per click, per like, per real genuine like. If you want an authentic like, it's going to cost you a minimum of $5. And so it's similar getting people to your website. It's going to cost a minimum of $2 to get somebody to visit your website, just visit your website. And out of those hundreds of people that visit your website, only a small percentage will give you their name and email address. So you can imagine that if you spend, say, $1,000 on advertising, and from that 500 people come to your website, you might get 100 emails. Actually, that's about right. It normally costs about $10 per email. So if you want an email list of 1,000 people, that's $10,000.
Yeah,
and it's so it can be tempting to buy email lists, obviously, because they're selling for like $65.
But that's a bit fraught, though, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, anybody that's on one of those purchased email lists is not going to want your email.
They've never heard of you.
And that's even if those emails even exist. And MailChimp are quite smart as well. If you try to import that list into MailChimp, they'll know that it's a paid list, and you'll get scolded. And you won't be allowed to do it. And another thing MailChimp are quite wary of as well is emails without names. So if they were trying to sell, if you was trying to add like info@ozcast.com.au, MailChimp would be like, hey, that doesn't look like a real person's email address. That looks like somebody's company email address. And they want people's names at the start of the email address. They're quite picky about that. they'll remove those ones from your list if you import them.
Will they? Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, MailChimp themselves, they don't want to be blacklisted. And I would imagine that they fight every week about not trying to be blacklisted, because there'll be people that genuinely, I mean, because you can get 2,000 emails for free on MailChimp, and there's going to be a lot of people spamming that. That's why we get lots of email these days. That's why there's so much noise. So building your list, actually, it takes time. It takes about a year, I reckon, to get to about 4,000 emails. And I think really, realistically, 4,000 is about, from what I've been playing with, 4,000 is about what you want to get any kind of traction. 1,000, but then again, the quality of those people, 2-3 weeks ago, we've used an email list which was 4,000. Had to delete 3,200 of them the other day, just simply because those people just were not interactive. And you can actually see how many times somebody's opened your email in MailChimp. It's got analytics like all of these platforms do. Mm-hmm. And there's no point in keeping emails from people that never open it. It's just get rid of them so that you get a higher percentage of open rate, click-through rate, etc. So it'll save you money as well, because after you go over 2,000 emails, you have to start paying on MailChimp. So if you're paying for an email list and 3,000 of them,
that's cold.
Yeah,
it's no good.
It's no good. It's pointless. Okay, well, that's email marketing, really, I guess.
Well, thanks very much for listening, everybody. We will be back with more episodes on different topics in the marketing area. This has been Incredible Adventures in Marketing. Very big thanks to Phil Bretherton, as always. My name's Liam Carter, and big thanks also to producer Andy Martin. We'll catch you next time, guys. Check out the Ozcast Network on Facebook for a whole bunch of free content, including this podcast.
Yep.
And we'll see you around.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.